What's up, everybody? Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. Is this the first episode of the new year, or was the UFO year?
No, I think the UFO one was, right? Because that came out last week. Yeah, this is the second of the new year.
Oh, okay.
This is the, yeah. Even though that one was recorded before the new year.
Right.
It's, you know how we do things.
Well, we got an update for you guys. This year sucks.
More aliens.
More aliens. Well, yeah, my leg's almost okay, so go do rehab on my leg. Tell it it'll be okay. Hug it while it goes.
So now we've got, not only do I have a robotic leg, now you get a robotic leg.
I hope so. It's rough, dude.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll both be kicking doors down together with our robot legs.
I'll take it. All right, so yeah, Mike said more aliens. We got sent a video by our buddy Ryan, and it is the most interesting video that I've seen on this UAP stuff in a while.
Before we get into that, though, if I need to address the mall alien thing, because
please do, because that's ever changing. Like, we haven't even put out our Patreon episode about that yet, and
that's what I was gonna say, because we're talking about aliens in the New Year's, and we are aware that this alien mall thing is a thing, but we're not. I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time on it because it's kind of like a weird thing where it's both sides of it. Like, one side is saying, no, this was just a response to a threat, and the other side is being bullshit. It's a goddamn fucking alien. Look at the footage. But we did a full Patreon episode. So if you guys want to hear us rant about that, go over to Patreon, and we're also doing a giveaway this month on Patreon as well, for a very small run of limited posters that we did exclusively for our patrons on Patreon as a giveaway. But it's not for everybody. You got to be like extra super awesome on there. Not really. It's going to be kind of a random drawing, but you got to be a patron to get the random drawing for the magnificent, beautiful poster. Very limited, very sexy. It's bound to go up in value instantly the second you get it, because it's so limited. You'll get it and you'll be like, oh shit, this is one of, I'm not even going to tell you how limited it is. That's how limited it is.
It's insanely limited.
You could be sitting on a gold mine. You don't even know. When I get abducted by aliens and whisked off, and Mateo gets sucked into the shadow dimension, you can sell it on eBay and make so many gold coins with it.
It's true.
Yeah. But anyway, I go on that tangent just to say we did discuss the mall aliens in detail. So if you're wondering why we're not talking about it here, that's why. We've got bigger fish to fry than mall aliens today.
We do. This video that was sent to us was of Representative Luna, and she's been a part of the UAP hearings. Now, they had a UAP hearing. I guess that's where she was leaving. They're not going to televise them anymore. Apparently, they're not need to know anymore.
Wasn't this one classified? The one they were all coming out of?
I think this was she mentions that this was a meeting with Grish, right? Grush.
Yeah, David Grush. Yeah.
So she starts this video off by saying that she 100% believes Grush, that other people should believe Grush. And she went to go on to say some weird stuff about people being hurt that we've been trying to bring information to her, Mike?
Yeah, that, well, not necessarily that tried to bring information to her, but people that tried to bring information to light in general. And we did a whole episode on people that were involved with trying to get certain classified things regarding UFOs out, and were suicided as a result, or murdered.
Or disappeared.
Yep. Likely all of the above.
Or turned into black ooze.
Or men in black. They were corrupted and turned to join the cause.
Oh, God. What if all men in black were just like ex-fucking researchers?
Maybe.
That's why they're so knowledgeable. Yeah, that's scary.
The thing that got me the most from her thing was talking about how they were not aliens. They were not extraterrestrials. They were dimensional beings. And that's scary as shit.
Yeah, this is a member of our Congress saying that. So, again, Mike, it looks like you were right.
It's just, I mean, when you see the people that are learning about this now saying that they're ultra dimensional beings or whatever, and there were, it wasn't just Representative Luna. There were other representatives there as well who were part of this meeting, and they ran, like, one guy said basically it's the same as it was. We don't have the answers we're looking for, blah blah blah. Another guy said he is a lot more concerned. He said he went into this meeting not really all that concerned about the issue, and he said he's coming out of this very concerned about the issue.
Oh,
So that's kind of alarming. I don't know, man. Like, to me, it's the things that they allude to, but they say because this was I don't know if it was top secret or classified. I don't know how they categorized it, but they're not allowed to discuss it with the public. So just hearing the things that they're saying without saying what they heard sounds pretty fucking creepy.
yeah, it's taking this weird, terrifying turn a little bit that we were talking about previously about those investigators that said they've gotten to the bottom of it and it's unfathomable. And I mean, Representative Luna saying that they're not aliens and they're interdimensional beings as a member of Congress is fucking insane.
Yeah, that's like ancient alien shit, man. That's so scary.
She also said something that I found very interesting, that she's pretty much concluded, and other members of Congress has concluded, that there is some sort of group or I don't know, party of people that are actively trying to stop Congress itself from releasing information about UAPs, releasing and receiving. So now there's like espionage feel to everything that's going on.
But I feel like that's always been the thing, you know, like I mentioned earlier with that episode we did talking about all the researchers and people involved. It seems like it's always been like that sort of like top secret James Bond sort of thing where you get too involved in it, eventually you're going to have someone coming for you.
Right, but who's going to go against Congress on any subject? Who's going to act, who's got the power to go against Congress on any fucking subject?
I mean, really, Congress are relatively low level in terms of government hierarchy, like as individuals, like, yeah, sure, as a group, they have the power to shape policy and create laws and all that. But when you're looking at, like the actual power in the country, like you're looking at groups like the CIA, you're looking at like the FBI, the NSA, those are the ones that wield the power. Everybody else is just like a pretty face they put in front of the camera. I mean, I shouldn't say pretty face. We got fucking Mitch McConnell out there, but you know what I mean? They're just some dude out there to toe the line for you.
What type of tactics do you think is being deployed to stop them from receiving information? Are these people just, maybe their secretary is receiving a file and just throwing it in the trash? Or do you think that, I don't know, is it serious enough for her to mention? I mean, that's weird.
Well, I think it's probably a lot of threats more than anything. Like, hey, shut the fuck up. We know, where your daughter goes to school. Or we know what church your wife goes to, shit like that. And I think intimidation is the biggest thing there. You get the guys that are important enough to be in the know, but low level enough to not really hold any influence. And those are the people that you go after. Because the people that are higher up, they got there for a reason. They're solid. You're not going to have to worry about the higher ups. You got to worry about these middle people that are, they've got more clearance than your average Joe, and they're seeing this stuff, and either they haven't been bought or they're too new to this, that they're, going out there talking to their family and friends about the fact that aliens exist. And then you've got the people that are trying to keep it hush-hush that need to come down on them and threaten them and use intimidation tactics to get them to shut the fuck up.
I mean, I was really hoping you were wrong with the interdimensional stuff. I don't think there's anything we can do to defend ourselves against interdimensional anything.
No, because at least like if it was things from space, like we can understand like the physical nature of things. So it's like, all right, you're coming from space, so you've got spacecraft. We know that if it's spacecraft, it's physical. So it's got to have a weakness. Well, we got fucking multi-dimensional beings that are like coming over here in light bodies and just using energy and non-material things. What the fuck are we gonna do? You know, use an atom smasher to fucking destroy it? What are we gonna do? Maybe that's the whole thing, the whole reason behind CERN. They knew it, and they're like, we need a way to destroy the multi-dimensional beings, and that's CERN.
Oh man, I mean,
yeah, it's interesting stuff. Definitely stuff to keep an eye on. But you know, with last episode being a alien roundup, we don't want to make this one an alien roundup. So, sticking with current events, it's cold as fuck. It's snowy. It's miserable. I fucking hate winter. Just earlier today, I was talking to Mateo about the week ahead here, and it's the warmest it's going to be is in the mid-20s, and then it's getting down into the teens this coming weekend. And we had a snowstorm today. So I'm so fucking sick of winter, but because I'm sick of winter and I'm a miserable bastard in the winter, I wanted to look up other things that maybe rather than stalk people in the forests or through the alleyways, I want things that are specifically hunting in the winter times or specifically in the Arctic where it's always fucking winter. So that's what I did. I got some pretty cool, I don't really want to call them cryptids, even though like there have been reports of some of these things. I'm going to say they're more creatures from folklore, but it just goes to show that winter's a son of a bitch if these fuckers are dwelling in the cold winter winds. The most of the ones I'm going to be talking about are North American because, you know, as I just discussed, we have fuck you winter up here, where winter basically says fuck you, die, and you do everything you can not to die. So it would make sense that, you know, the natives that lived in that area would have legends of creatures that dwell out there. You know, and with folklore, a lot of the reason behind folklore and urban legends as well are used as a warning. So it makes sense that these creatures were put out there for various reasons, which we'll get to. But before I get to the Native American creatures, I did want to mention one Japanese legend of the Yuki Onna, which is the Snow Woman. And it's thought to be a myth. It shows up in legends and some of the folklore. But there have been actual recorded sightings that date back as far as the 14th century. And the Yuki Onna is described as being a beautiful woman with long dark hair and skin so pale that it's almost transparent. In some of the sightings, the witness claims that she does not have feet and instead glides over the ground during blizzards. And typically she'll appear to travelers who are lost or become stranded in cold weather. And if she approaches the victim, she'll freeze them with her breath, leaving behind an ice-covered corpse. So, like, think about, and I know where you live, Mateo, you don't really have to worry about snowstorms stranding you and, you know, on the side of the road in your car. But for those of us who have had to endure that, just imagine being there. You're in your car waiting for the tow truck or whatever to come get you out. And in the distance, you see a woman approaching you. And you're like, oh, fuck. Maybe this is someone who needs help, who's like in the same boat that I'm in. And they're coming to my car to see if I had a tow truck called. Or maybe it's someone from the tow truck coming. I don't know. And then she walks up to you. You roll your window down. She leans in and breathes on you. And you feel cold gust, and then you're encased in ice and fucking dead.
Yeah, she just sub-zeros you.
Yeah. But I mean, so when we think of this, put it in context of when the tales were being told, and 14th century, we don't have people that are driving cars and buses and all that, so they'd be walking or traveling with a horse. And you can imagine there being a freak snowstorm coming through, and you're just on horseback, you can't find your way, you get turned around, and then the next morning someone finds you and you're frozen to death, and you've got little ice crystals all over you. So what caused that? What happened? They were on a horse. Why are they dead now? Well, it's because the snow woman breathed on them, and now they're fucking dead.
Yeah, you can kind of hide a natural reason for somebody dying in weather like that with this lady breathing on them. Like, they could have just fallen off their horse, broke their ankle, and froze to death, but
right,
the same outcome of dealing with her would be the same, you know?
Yeah. You're covered in ice and you are dead. But there's other legends about her that says that she'll appear as a woman holding a baby, and she'll use this appearance to lure good Samaritans to their death when they attempt to help a mother with a baby through the snowstorm. And in this instance, if someone were to touch the baby, they instantly become frozen where they stand and they're dead. But there's one way to really tell if it's a woman who needs help or if it's one of these snow demons. If it's said that if you look into her eyes, she will strike fear in anyone who meets her gaze. So that's if you look at her and you make eye contact and you get the fear, then you know that she's the snow woman and she wants to breathe all over you.
As if the earth trying to kill you in that environment isn't enough.
Yeah. Now you got to worry about ghost women breathing extra cold air on you.
Thanks, lady.
Yeah. But going back to, so I just wanted to talk about that because I thought that it was kind of a neat little legend about lost travelers getting frozen to death and a way to explain it. So it's, in this instance, it's basically don't travel alone. And I guess when the weather turns bad, fend for yourself, fuck anyone else that needs help because you'll freeze to death. But we've talked, I believe we actually did a full episode on the Wendigo. So I'm not going to get too deep into the Wendigo lore, but just really quick give an overview because there's other creatures that are similar to the Wendigo. But the Wendigo it's an Algonquin legend. It's said to be the spirit of lonely places, and it's a spirit that's constantly hungry. It typically will appear human in appearance with sunken eyes and an emaciated figure with dried blood coating its lips. And it's thought that the spirit of the Wendigo will possess a man if he resorts to feeding on human flesh. And once the spirit possesses the man, that person will become an insatiable Wendigo that's constantly going out looking for its next meal, but no matter what, it's never satisfied. And there's some parts or some tellings of the Wendigo legend that state that if the Wendigo eats a person, the Wendigo's body would grow in proportion to the size of the person that it just ate. And its body would do this to ensure that it was never full. And so I remember talking about this before when we were talking about the Wendigo, but there's in recent years, there's been the depiction of the Wendigo is this tall, like gangly monster with like long clawed fingers and a rotting deer head, or in some cases a rotting wolf head, or a rotting wolf head with deer antlers. But that's not really the way that it's depicted. It's thought to be more of a emaciated humanoid. Like it looks more like a ghoul sort of thing, where it's just like wasted away, constantly hungry, got gnarled clawed hands, and it's just trying to fucking eat everybody. But there is an actual thing called Wendigo psychosis, which is supposed to be when a person craves human flesh. And it's an actual thing that's been documented, which is kind of crazy. But I think it's a little bit different because, they're not being possessed by a evil hunger spirit. But this is kind of the reason that this shows up in the winter a lot is because long ago, the winters for tribes in the Northeast would be hard. So there would be times when you would run out of food and people would be tempted to eat other people as a means of survival. So this was kind of a warning against that taboo. If you eat the flesh of another person, then you'll become this undying beast that just eats everything in its place. And once you get cursed as the Wendigo, there's no coming back from that. You are the fucking Wendigo at that point. But the Algonquin also have another creature that's kind of similar to the Wendigo, but this is a cannibalistic giant. And it's called the Chenu. And they were thought to be former humans that were cursed to eat human flesh. And once cursed, they become corrupted and they begin to grow in size. And the hungrier they get, the bigger they get. So kind of like the Wendigo in that regard. But in appearance, these things have chewed off their own lips. So they have no lips on their face. And their teeth become these large fangs that jut out of their open mouths. And their bodies become uncomfortably hot. So the only way for them to live comfortably is to go live in the snow.
Oh.
And it's the Chenu is almost immortal. There's a few ways you can kill it. One way is that if you chop it up into multiple pieces, you'll be able to destroy it, but it won't kill it. The only way to completely kill it is to destroy its heart. And in the legends, the Chenu have icy heart. So their heart is literally made of ice. So one way to kill them is to trick them into eating enough salt that the salt will seep through their body and melt their heart. Another way is to force them to eat so much that they will literally puke out their heart. And the only way so if you destroy the heart, you'll kill the Chenu. But there is a way to actually bring the human that they once were back after destroying it. And what you have to do is when you remove the icy heart and destroy the heart, you then have to replace it with an actual human heart. And if you put the human heart back in its chest, then it will revert back to the human that it once was before the curse took hold.
That's like a gnarly version of like a vampire, right? Sounds like it. You got to destroy the heart. I mean, what do you feed it to get it to throw up?
I don't know. Like, and how do you avoid being eaten? Like, to me, that seems like you'd have to have a bunch of people like ready to go. Like you just go and kidnap a bunch of people and be like, here, just keep eating. And then it pukes up its heart. And you're like, I got your heart, fucker. And then you kill whoever's left and take their heart and put it back in its chest. And then you get your loved one back.
Damn.
Yeah, it's hardcore, man. Real fucking hardcore.
I'll pass.
But so the Algonquin, they're in the Northeast. But in the Northwest, there's the Daneza tribe who've got this being called the Weishuj. And this is almost exactly like the Wendigo, but it's from a completely different tribe on the opposite coast in the Northwest. But much like the Wendigo, the Weishuj is an evil spirit that will possess someone that will break a certain social taboo, or someone who becomes too strong. Because I'm assuming if you become too strong, you're giving into pride. So that is kind of like a social taboo as well. But if you break the taboo or become too strong, you become possessed. And once you become possessed, you become the Weishuj. And it will basically force the person who is possessed to go find other people to eat. But it'll use various methods to try to lure its victims away from safety, so like away from other people or away from their villages, to be alone so that it can attack and eat them. And it's said to be incredibly strong, and when you become possessed and turn into the Weishus, you are made of ice, and it cannot be killed. The only way to destroy one is to throw it on a campfire and keep it contained within the flames of the campfire until the fire melts its body completely.
Jesus.
So if this thing is stalking you through the woods, the only way you're getting out is if you can fucking get it onto a campfire and melt that fucker.
Yeah, you gotta wrestle this thing onto a fucking fire.
Ew. So, I mean, and again, these are all creatures dealing, or basically that are tied to ice and winter. And I think, again, it's because the resources become more scarce in the winter. So you'd have to have warnings in place against breaking certain taboos. But the thing with the Weishus is, like, some of the taboos are like making a homemade guitar and playing it, like stretching strings over leather to make a guitar. That's one way. Or if you were in more modern times, if you allowed to have your photograph taken with a flash, then that was considered a taboo that would open you up for possession. So it seemed like this was kind of like a big catch-all sort of thing, like, don't do anything or you will become a cannibalistic monster made of ice. It's pretty creepy.
It is weird because, I mean, people existing in areas like you live now proves that they've taught their young to take the weather seriously, and it's not a joke. And I mean, I living in an area like that, Mike, I'm sure there's not too many stories of little kids just being found frozen outside. So it's weird to add like a paranormal cryptozoology aspect, warning, lore, legend stuff to an area like that.
Yeah, you got to give people a reason to be afraid, man.
I guess so.
As if winter wasn't scary enough.
Yeah, and these are people who know how scary winter really is.
Yeah. But these aren't the scariest ones. I've saved the scariest ones for last.
Yeah.
And these are both Inuit spirits. So again, from the Pacific Northwest. The first one I want to talk about is a creature that haunts the Canadian Arctic. And this was known by the Inuit people as the Mahaha. And they're said to be gaunt creatures, but weirdly muscular. And they have skin the color of ice that's stretched tight over their bones. They have stringy hair, large eyes, long clawed fingers, and when they're spotted, they always appear to be smiling and giggling. In the myth, it's thought that the creature is smiling and giggling because it becomes giddy with excitement upon seeing a potential victim. And these things torture their victims to death. When they attack, it'll attempt to, quote unquote, tickle its victims. But remember, I said this thing has long clawed fingers, and each claw is said to be as sharp as a knife. So this thing will sit there tickling its victim, which will result in the victim being shredded to pieces. But the creepiest thing about this is that it'll leave its victims where it kills them. And then when someone will come upon the corpse that it left behind, the torn body will be left with a twisted smile on their face.
What the hell?
So it doesn't eat them. It literally just tortures them to death and leaves them smiling.
This is a downright SCP.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
So I don't even know what to make of that one. Like, that it doesn't seem like it's tied to any specific taboos. It's just this evil bastard demon thing that wants to slice people up. It really does sound like something from the SCP Foundation, though.
Yeah, I mean, everything about it.
It kind of makes you wonder, like, is there something like that out there? Like, not really, obviously, but what if there is really?
Yeah, I mean, or at least there was at one time.
Or maybe like stuff like this was like some bastard fucking Viking out there. He's like, oh, I just came from the Valley of Headless Men, and now I'm here to torture you guys to death because I'm fucking bored of decapitating people. So now I will use my Freddy gloves, and I will slice the shit out of you.
Yikes.
Yeah, and the fact that it's only, like, it exists only in the Arctic, and it's just, like, sitting out there in the snow waiting for a traveler who's already enduring bullshit because they have to travel through the fucking Arctic snow and ice, and they're just trying to survive, and this thing's like, oh, you think you're getting through here, do you? And it hops. Like, it almost seems like a D&D monster. Like, it just hops down and like, oh shit, your party has encountered a Mahaha.
Yeah, it just lands in front of your crew and does like a fighting stance for...
Yeah, roll for initiative, let's go. Let's fight this thing. But it doesn't say anything about any specific weaknesses that this thing might have. So I don't know. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe it's a ghost. Maybe it's a man. I don't know.
No weaknesses. Usually these things have some type of tip or
right.
way to kill it.
Yeah, rip its heart out, throw it on a campfire. Maybe that works for this too. I don't know. But I don't know. But there's another one that specifically it's from Inuit legend. So again, it's Arctic Canada. But this one is called the Ijirak, and this one to me seems like it could be one of those things that might be linked to the missing 411 stuff, because of the way that it behaves and the things that it does. And this also kind of reminds me of an SCP creature as well. So this one is a shapeshifter, but nobody knows what its true form looks like because it's completely invisible to mortals unless it's taking the form of something else. And they're able to appear as any sentient being they want, and they'll use these forms to try to lure their prey away. So either, away from a group, away from the village, just away from safety so they can get them on their own. But the Ijirak is said to live in a world that exists between the world of the living and the world of the dead. So this kind of limbo space, but where it lives, like its natural home or plane of existence or dimension, whatever you want to call it, it's impossible to be reached by mortals. However, people are able to get close. And if somebody gets too close to it, somehow the Ijirak is able to know that they're close and is able to kind of enchant them so that they become confused and they'll wander away and become lost in the wilderness. The only way that a mortal is able to actually reach the home of an Ijirak is if it takes you to its home. But if it takes you, that means you're going to be its next meal. So one of the main targets for these things are children. And they will lure children away from the villages using various forms, usually an adult that the child will trust. And it'll get the child to follow them out into the wilderness by themselves. Once there, one of three fates will await this child. Either it will be eaten on the spot once it's alone, or the creature will hide it away, most likely in its home dimension, for another meal, or it will cast that enchantment on them and make them confused and force them to wander by themselves in the wilderness. These victims are typically have the worst fate because they're left to wander through the Arctic by themselves and eventually die of exposure.
Nice.
So this thing is really, this aspect of it is really what makes me think of the missing 411 things, because like whenever they find one of those kids that goes missing in a weird manner, the kid will come back confused and dazed and say that he's just been wandering around, and then people found him. And then you have other kids that go missing and they're never found again. And then some of those missing and not just kids, but like the hikers and stuff, where they'll find parts of their clothing, or they'll find the body with scratches on it, like they've been running through thorn bushes or something.
Right.
And then how do you account for the people that just disappear completely? I mean, I know we've beaten the 411 thing to death here, but it's whenever I hear of a cryptid or a legend or something that kind of meets like the weirdness factors for the missing 411 things, it really makes me think, because like these are old legends, but what they're saying these things do really could provide an explanation for some of these weird missing 411 cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there have been so many cases where the kid was said that they were in this other realm, or what seemed like another realm, but it appeared normal, but they were able to like hear their parents calling for them, but they couldn't respond. You know, it seemed like it was like an echo almost. And but in those cases, it makes me wonder, because some of them, they talk about some sort of being protecting them. So I wonder if in this dimension, if there's like things that want to eat the people, and then there's other things trying to save the victims that end up there against their will. Because like there have been stories from kids that'll talk about an old lady that'll bring them into her house and she'll keep them fed and keep them warm. And then there's other ones where they've said it was like a talking bear, or a big hairy animal of some sort that'll keep them warm and give them magic berries. And then they just let them go. It's weird.
Yeah, I was just reading up on one of those cases where the kid called it a bear. And I wonder why. I mean, I don't know. These kids are young, like 3 and 5, that talk about the bear or hairy thing that took care of them. I don't think they would like have enough experience to call it a Bigfoot or something like that. Do you?
I mean, I guess it would depend on the household they grew up in, really. You know, like your kids or my kids might be more inclined to be like, you know, that's Bigfoot. But like you get a city kid or something that doesn't know any better, maybe not.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just further proof that winter sucks, and there's more out there than snow and ice that can kill you. Now you've got fucking cannibalistic spirits that want to possess you and make you eat everybody you love, or steal your children away, or tickle you to death
with razor fingers.
With razor fingers, like Freddy fucking Krueger.
Well, before we head out, I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but I got to ask you, because this one's actually weirded me out. What do you think about this fucking jellyfish UFO thing?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that thing. The Imperial probe droid.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks just like it. It's a fucking weird video, man. And the only thing, well, there's a couple things that make me think that it's fake. The first being that Jeremy McBeardface was talking about it and saying that he personally was told about this video, and it's 17 minutes long, and it shows this thing hovering over the water, and it goes into the water and then shoots out of the water. And then there's a military official who came out and said that he was aware of what it was and thought that he personally thought that it wasn't anything significant, that it may have been something on the camera. But he also went on to say that most people within his department do not follow his line of thinking and think that it's actually they picked up something specifically. But he did say this thing flew out and hovered over a lake, but never at any point in the video did the thing go into the water, let alone go into the water and shoot back out again. So he said whoever's putting, he didn't mention him by name, but he said whoever is putting this information out there is not being honest. So I don't know. I think typically if he is breaking news, regardless of how cool it looks, I'm always very hesitant to believe him, because he was also the one who came out with those blinking fucking pyramid things that appeared over the battleship, saying like, this is real, this was given to me and it was vetted and we know this. And then it was debunked real quick by some fucking people on YouTube that work in special effects. And then from that point on, experts have looked at it and been like, oh yeah, no, that is basically a lens flare. So I don't know. I think it's a cool fucking video and I want it to be an Imperial probe droid so bad, but I think it's more likely something else. Maybe it's even a like a drone that has something like hanging from it. But they did say that in the full video they were watching it, and those things that were dangling appeared to be stiff. So it's not like it was like something on a string or like tentacles or something. They appeared to be stiff.
Yeah, or debris or something like that.
Yeah, right. So I don't know, man. It's a fucking weird video. It looks cool as hell, but I don't think that there's anything to it, unfortunately, and it makes me very sad.
I wanted to believe it because Corbell put it out. I guess he's the one who put the video out, from what I understand, and it's just such a striking piece of footage. It's somehow even more bizarre than the thought of it being a UFO. I mean, it was like, it had the feeling of those not the bullshit one, but like the flying humanoids that were coming out of Peru, I believe, that seemed to be like in silvery spacesuits and shit.
Yeah. You know what it reminded me of? And I don't know, I don't think we've really talked in depth about it on the show. But those weird drone pictures that came out in the early 2000s, where they weren't like drones in the sense like we've got drones now. Like it was like these weird things that were allegedly flying around, and they weren't craft because they were like made up of rings and pieces of metal, but it wasn't like a cockpit or any. They were really fucking weird looking. I think they were maybe in Anaheim, California or something. I can't really remember. But that's what it reminded me of. And that's a story. I'll have to look that up because it's kind of a cool story. And from what I can recall, it was never really resolved. Like there were people that were detractors, I guess, saying, you know, this was all fake and stuff. And then there were other people that were like, no, this was something that was really going on. So I'd like to do some research on that. Maybe we can do a show on that in the future. I'll just have to remember the details of it to look it up, because it might not even be Anaheim where it was, but for some reason Anaheim is ringing a bell for me. But yeah, it was, I remember reading about it when I was working second shift in a call center in like 2001, and or maybe it was 2000, it doesn't fucking matter, 2001, 2002. And I remember reading about it, and at the time it was relatively new, I guess, like being widespread. But I never ended up finding the resolution to that. So maybe now someone has come forth and been like, yeah, that was a art project I was doing, and you guys are fucking idiots. I don't know. But that's what it reminded me of, just because it's so fucking weird looking. Yeah. It doesn't look like your standard like UFO footage or anything like that. It was weird looking.
I just don't want that squid thing to be some type of like a robotic entity, like a being, like that's actually deployed from a UFO somewhere.
Those dangly bits are fucking extraction probes, and it hovers over things and sticks them into you and sucks out your organs or blood or eyeballs. Maybe that's what does the cattle mutilations.
Yeah, that fucking thing.
Yeah, that thing just comes down, sucks out assholes and eyeballs, and off they go.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.